Radio Newcastle.
What an afternoon then. 0800 234 6565 is the number to call. We will chat with John Anderson and Gary Bennett to go over Newcastle United's win at Southampton, Sunderland's draw at home to Plymouth very shortly. Elsewhere around the country today, we will begin in the Premier League. Plenty of goals in the Premier League, including 5 scored by Bournemouth to thump Nottingham Forest 5-0. A hat-trick for Dango Ouattara, one early on for Justin Kluivert, one late on for the former Sunderland player Antoine Semenyo. Bournemouth 5, Nottingham Forest 0. Everton are on the verge of winning, but they're in the 9th minute of injury time. 1-0 at Brighton. David Moyes' Everton, of course. Iliman Ndiaye with the penalty 3 minutes from the end of the first half. We'll come back to that when it's a full time. Liverpool have beaten Ipswich 4-1, and it was 4-0 into the 90th minute. It was comfortable for Liverpool today. 2 for Cody Gakpo, 1 for Mo Salah, 1 for Dominic Szoboszlai. Arsenal have won 1-0 at Wolves despite having a man down, a man sent off just before half-time. Miles Lewis-Skelly, a bit of a debatable red card. It was goalless at half-time. Then Wolves had João Gomez sent off for a second yellow card, and then Arsenal took the lead and held on to it. Ricardo Calafiori with the winner. Wolves 0, Arsenal 1. The 5:30 kickoff doesn't look too bad either in the Premier League. Manchester City against Chelsea.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
3 early games in the Championship. Millwall won 1-0 at Luton. Norwich thumped Swansea 5-1, and it was goalless between Stoke and Oxford United. In the 3 o'clock kickoffs, Bristol City beat Blackburn 2-1. Nahki Wells with the winner 13 minutes from the end. Cardiff 2, Derby County 1. All 3 goals coming in the space of 8 minutes in the middle of the second half. Cardiff were 2-0 up. Salveson got one back for Derby, but it finished 2-1 to Cardiff. Coventry City 2, Watford 1. 2 goals for Victor Torp and an own goal that made it a little bit hairy at the end. Preston beat Middlesbrough 2-1. Bordarson in the first half. Burgsorg equalised for Middlesbrough at the start of the second, but Emil Jakobsen-Rice with Preston's winner. So Preston 2, Middlesbrough 1. Sheffield Wednesday won 2-0 away at Queen's Park Rangers. Smith and Pattison with their goals, and West Bromwich Albion very, very comfortable winners. Grady Diangana scored twice as they beat Portsmouth 5-1.
Total Sport North East.
Get the latest team news, score updates and post-match reaction on Twitter at BBC Newcastle.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into League One, couple of early games. Cambridge United 3, Mansfield Town 2, and Bolton Wanderers won 1-0 away at Huddersfield. In the 3 o'clock game, Stevenage left it very late, i.e. until the 92nd minute, before scoring at Barnsley and winning 1-0. Burton Albion beat Rotherham 4-2. Rotherham were 1-0 up after 2 minutes, but then found themselves 3-1 down at half-time and 4-1 down 2 minutes just into the second half. They got one back later on, but it didn't matter. Burton Albion 4, Rotherham 2. Charlton scored in the 96th minute to beat Shrewsbury Town by 1-0. Blackpool, Steve Bruce's Blackpool, comfortable 3-1 winners away at Exeter. They were 3-0 up at half-time, having scored 3 times in the last 12 minutes of the first half. Leyton Orient 2, Reading 0. Lincoln City, comfortable 5-1 winners over Peterborough. Stockport County beat Crawley Town 2-0. That was the half-time and the full-time score. Wigan Athletic, also 2-0 winners at home. They beat Bristol Rovers, and it finished goalless between Wycombe Wanderers and Northampton Town.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
2 early games in League 2 as well. MK Dons 0, AFC Wimbledon 0, and Bradford beat Walsall 3-0. Also winning 3-0 in the first of the 3 o'clock games was Barrow. They beat Grimsby by that scoreline. Cheltenham 2, Salford City 1, Chesterfield 1, Port Vale 1. Port Vale clinging on, having had a man sent off 6 minutes into the second half. They took the lead through Jayden Stockley after just 2 minutes, did Port Vale. But Chesterfield 1, Port Vale 1 is the final score. Morecambe beaten at Colchester, and that matters down the bottom of the table significantly. They had Lee Angol sent off just before half-time. Morecambe conceded in the second half. Accrington Stanley win 1-0 away at Crewe Alexandra. Doncaster leave it relatively late but beat Harrogate by 1-0. And Carlisle United are off the bottom of the table. They've won 2-1 away at Fleetwood. Kedwin Scott in the first half, Sam Lavelle in the second. 85 minutes had gone when Carlisle scored their winner. Notts County 1, Bromley 1. Cameron Congreve with the equaliser for Bromley, the man who scored for Bromley at St James's Park a few weeks ago. And the final game in League 2 finished Tranmere 1, Gillingham 1.
Total Sport North East.
The Newcastle and Sunderland AFC podcast
on BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Into non-league then, our featured game of the day this afternoon at the International Stadium. Gateshead against Oldham in the National League, and Paul Dixon can tell us how it finished.
Brilliant second half by Gateshead. Got them a point yesterday. It was Gateshead 1, Oldham 1. It was Oldham who were really good in the first half and took the lead on the half hour. Tom Pett corner was headed low into the net by Mike Fondop, a brilliantly brave header to put them 1-0 up. And 5 minutes later, he could have put them 2-0 up, but a brilliant save by Mason in the Gateshead goal. 1-0 at half-time. Gateshead had to do a lot more in the second half if they were going to get anything out of the game. And on 63 minutes, they got that goal, and what a goal it was to level the score. A brilliant three-man move. Ben Warman put in Will McGowan. McGowan then took his time and squared the ball back to Luke Hannon to drill the ball low into the corner of the net. It really came out of the blue, but it gave Gateshead the impetus to go on. And they nearly won it late on, as did Oldham as well. Fondop at the back post had a real chance with a volley, and he volleyed wide of the post. But whatever Carl Magney has set them at half-time, it really worked in the second half. Gateshead 1, Oldham 1.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul. That Luke Hannon goal, his 16th in the past 12 months, but his first that is not a penalty. Extraordinary run of penalties that Luke Hannon has scored, but an important goal for them today. In National League North, South Shields beaten 3-2 at Scunthorpe. Paul Blackett early on, Mackenzie Heaney towards the end got one back for them, but they couldn't get an equaliser. So Scunthorpe 3, South Shields 2. In the NPL Premier Division, Blythe Spartans have won a game for the first time since September. They scored twice in the first 10 minutes of the second half to beat Mickleover 2-1. Come from behind as well. Cyril Giro and Charlie Aitken. As I say that, I realise that game was delayed and actually hasn't finished yet. But Blythe Spartans are leading Mickleover 2-1. Getting a little bit carried away. We'll bring you that as soon as it's a full-time score. What is definitely a full-time score also in that NPL Premier Division is Morpeth drawing 1-1 at Hyde United, only because Dan Barlow got them their equaliser in the 94th minute. Less pleased with a draw on the road though, Hebburn. Amar Purawal scoring twice for them. They drew 2-2 at Lancaster, but only because Lancaster equalised in the 88th minute. In the East Division, a magnificent win for Dunstan, 5-2 away at the then league leaders Belper, who've been knocked off the top of the table because of that defeat, and another win elsewhere. But a hat-trick for Sado Jallo, another 2 goals for JG O'Donnell, who scored a hat-trick last time out as well. Dunstan win 5-2 at Belper. Also in the East Division, it's Consett 1, Carlton 1, the full-time score. Charlie Exley with Consett's goal in the first half. Ashington scored really early on and held on to win 1-0 away at Stocksbridge Park Steels. Ben Williams after just 4 minutes. And Heaton Stannington beaten 2-1 at home by Cleethorpes. It's Cleethorpes who now replace Belper at the top of the table. Jay Errington with Heaton Stannington's goal early on in that one, but they couldn't take anything from it. Berwick Rangers beaten 3-0 in the Scottish Lowland League as well at Linlithgow Rovers. We'll go through all of that and hear from some of those involved in the local football roundup at 5:45.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
So it has been quite the afternoon. For the next half hour, just a little bit more than half an hour, where we'll focus exclusively on Newcastle United and Sunderland, and then we'll come back to all the non-league drama, like I say, in the local football roundup at 5:45. But let's say hello once again to both John Anderson at St Mary's. Good afternoon, Ando. Oh, good evening.
Hey, Colin.
It's a bit dark now, isn't it, to be saying good afternoon. And to Gary Bennett at the Stadium of Light. Hello, Benno.
Good evening. How are you?
Let's start with the chirpier of the two of you, shall we? John Anderson, a little bit of a, I don't know if fright is the right word, but certainly a surprise in the opening 10 minutes. But after that, Newcastle United as comfortable as they should be against the Southampton team that's bottom of the table.
Yeah, poor goal to give away by free header, middle of the box. Dubravka, no chance. But from then on in, I mean, the one thing I would say is VAR's absolutely ruining this game. You know, the offside goal, we had it on the screen here. We had a screen in front of us.
Yeah. And
you could see straight away it was offside. And why it took so long for them to make their mind up was unbelievable. You know, but look, from the game's point of view, it was what it should have been. I said in commentary that Southampton were dying for the final whistle to go. I think they're dying for this season to finish, to be quite honest, because they're so out of their depth. It's scary. It really is. You know, to be fair, they worked hard, but they just lack so much quality all over the place. we didn't have to be at our best. He was able to take Isak off. I mean, first half, Isak was just... It was like chalk and cheese compared to last week, because they got so close to Isak last week. They gave him absolutely no room to play in. And you would think that Southampton, when they do their analysis of games, would look at that and think, yeah, that's what you've got to do. But they just gave him all the room in the world. They dropped off him, let him come into the hole, let him turn, get at them. And he was brilliant first half. He really was. They were able to take him off. They were able to take Guimaraes off. It was just... You could have packed up and went... We could have packed up and went home after 15 minutes of the second half. I mean, they tried to change it in the second half. They went to a straight back four, and it made it even worse. They played with 3 centre-backs in the first half. They came out, went with 2 centre-backs, and you could have driven... Honestly, Gary, you could have driven half a dozen buses through the middle of that back four. They were all over the place. Every time we knocked the ball forward, we looked like we were going to score. And then they eventually changed it back, but it was what we thought it would be. We said beforehand, Colin, that if you wanted to pick a game after last week where you would bounce back, this was it. And it was, it was just so comfortable. It really was.
And it's a brief aside when we talk about Newcastle United, because they have put last weekend's defeat to bed now, and we knew that Bournemouth were good because they played Newcastle off the park. They have destroyed Nottingham Forest this afternoon as well. So further evidence of how good Bournemouth are more than anything else. Yeah,
I spoke to people after the game last week, and obviously over the weekend when you were out, and people kept saying, oh, we were poor and we were this and we that, and he didn't play well and he didn't play well and he didn't do this and we didn't do that. And my argument all the time was, hey, we didn't do it because Bournemouth didn't allow us to do it. I said I didn't hear anybody complaining how poor Arsenal were when we beat them in the Cup. And that was because we made Arsenal look poor because of what we did. And I honestly think Bournemouth made us look poor last week because of what they did, and I think it was justified when you see the result today.
From your point of view, yeah, absolutely. No, categorically, and Bournemouth are right up there in European contention now, potentially in Champions League contention as well. From a Sunderland point of view, Benno, I mean, it's just frustration all round, isn't it? It was even before the 90th minute equaliser, there were things that were frustrating you. And yes, obviously you'd have put them to bed and not worried about them too much if Sunderland had taken all 3 points. But it was a frustrating afternoon.
It was a frustrating afternoon, and it's just typical Sunderland, shall we say. You look at, maybe you can look at the lineup, the way we set up. Could we have been a little bit more attacking minded in regards of being brave? We were a little bit, shall we say, because Ahmed playing there. We pushed Dan Neil forward a little bit. Joe was pushed forward a little bit, struggled to get into the game. But still, we still had enough, I thought, to go on and create a lot more opportunities than we did and go and win the game. But if you don't start the game right, you've got to earn the right to win the game. And as the game went on, you could see Plymouth, especially, right up to half-time, 0-0, job done. They got to half-time, not conceded a goal. And then, to concede, the first goal was so sloppy. We don't work hard enough to stop the ball coming into the box. And it's come off Chris Mepham, it's gone to Hardy, and somehow he's been able to pass the ball and it's gone into the net, 1-0 down. Then we get back into the game. Wilson Isidore, great strike, 1-1. And then we're ploughing on, we showed a little bit of character. Trey Hume, we get the second goal too. You've got to manage the game from there. We didn't. We allow Plymouth to get the ball. Somehow they've got the ball into the box. They're not the biggest team. And when the ball comes in the box, the ball's in the air such a long time that you're thinking, somebody come and command, put your name on it, the goalkeeper, come and get the ball. But we're just waiting, we're looking around, and in the end, it's been put in the back of the net, 2-2.
Yeah, there's a little bit of criticism coming Anthony Paterson's way. It's gone down incidentally as a Patterson own goal, the first Plymouth one, and we'll come back to some of that. Trey Hume gets his first goal in any football match since September 2023, but he'll not be celebrating it too much tonight. Lots of ways for you to get in touch. Want us to give you a call, want you to give us a call, sorry, 0800 234 6565. You can message us as well. WhatsApp messages to 08000 321 333 and your text messages to 81333. Start them all with the letters BBC. Let's begin though by having a chat with Wayne, who is a Newcastle United supporter and therefore, I presume, rather happy. Wayne, good evening.
Good evening, Colin. Hello, John.
Hey, Wayne. You didn't get your 5 up then?
No, I was just about to say that it wasn't the 5-1 I predicted, although we could have had a few more the way we cut them open at times, but a little bit nervy towards the end of the game there. Two decisions we were fortunate with, but would you say they were right decisions, John, or do you disagree with either of them?
I just think in the modern game, I thought it was a soft penalty, but look, there was a coming together, and you knew it was when they were taken as long as they were taken, you knew it was going to be given as a penalty. The goal, the ball's played forward, and as soon as the ball's played forward, and you seen it, I went, he's offside. And why it took so long to come to the decision of offside, I do not know. Now, I don't know. Look, Wayne, I'm going to admit to you, I don't know what rules are anymore. I really don't. I don't know whether that rule is still in place, where if you head it back and you're in an offside position, you're not offside, if you know what I mean. But look, it went our way. But Cher got lucky. You know, he's trying to be clever. He's trying to be too clever, a little bit casual maybe, but we got away with it. But look, even taking those decisions out of the game, we deserve to win the game. You know, we were the better side. You know, here we are, end of January. It could be a long 3 months for Southampton. It really could. You know, but look, all we could do was go and win the game. That's what we did. We bounced back well from last week. And I mean, going behind early on wouldn't have done the confidence a great deal of good, but you know, the goal came early enough. It gave us plenty of time to get back into the game, and we did that. Isak first half was brilliant. You know, he was unbelievable. Didn't see a great deal of a second half, but I thought we managed the game well. Few other chances, could have had more, but it's a big win for us to get back to winning ways after what happened last week.
Yeah, would you say, John? Obviously, just touching on that, what you were saying there. Obviously, the performance levels aren't up to the standard we were used to before the Bournemouth game, but today was more about getting the result, and obviously the performance levels will pick back up with the momentum. Yeah,
look at it. I don't. In all honesty, we didn't have to be great today. You know, we were sloppy at times. Some good stuff, some bad, some to work on. You wouldn't say that we were at our best today, but that's why we said beforehand that this was the ideal game to get back to winning ways. This would have done the confidence the world of good. You know, I'm not saying that last week knocked the confidence at all, because you win 9 games on the bounce. You always know that a defeat is going to come along somewhere, so it's not going to affect your confidence that much. But I didn't think we were at our best today, but as I say, we didn't have to be. We still won the game very, very comfortably.
Wayne, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this evening. The number for you to call to do the same thing, to chat with either John Anderson or Gary Bennett, 0800 234 6565. Blythe Spartans have won their first match in the league. So what? Any match actually since September. They have beaten Micklover by 2-1 in the NPL Premier Division today. That game delayed by 15 minutes because the opposition were late getting to Croft Park, but we will go through that and talk a little bit more about that in our local football roundup at 5:45. Let's tell you about the tables as well and the difference that today's results have made. Newcastle United up to 4th, probably temporarily, because Chelsea and Manchester City play each other and kick off in about 10 minutes time, but that's Newcastle up to 41 21 points from their 23 games. Now just 3 points behind Nottingham Forest. That's the other way to look at it today, after they were beaten by Bournemouth. They're on 44. Arsenal with their winner are on 47. And Liverpool with their winner are now 6 points clear. Well, sorry, still 6 points clear on 53. Behind Newcastle, Chelsea just a point behind, so they'll leapfrog them if they get a point at least against Manchester City. Bournemouth also now on 40 points as well, and Manchester City just below them on 38. From a Sunderland perspective, this was a big opportunity missed. Sheffield United beaten last night, Leeds United and Burnley playing each other on Monday night, so obviously they can't both win, and those are the other 3 teams in the top 4, so Sunderland really not taking advantage today. They move on to 55 points, Burnley on 56, Sheffield United on 58 and Leeds United on 59. So if Burnley were to beat Leeds on Monday night, it would get very, very tight indeed at the top of the Championship table. Just before we have a chat to Ian, who's a Sunderland fan, I'm going to read a couple of these messages out for you, Ando. First of all, Robin Hexham. I'm sorry, Ando, because I'm knowingly setting you up for a little bit of a rant here, but Robin Hexham says, superb commentary as always from Razor and Ando, and can I just add that the 2 ridiculous VAR checks allowed me to hard-boil 2 eggs and miss none of the game. It's getting ridiculous, says Rob. I think it's the implementation. I know you sort of are unhappy with VAR full stop. I think the principle is probably quite solid. It just seems to take an eternity to get through the replays and then decide, yeah, actually the referee should have a look as well.
Well, as I say, the offside goal, we've seen it, and as soon as it gets played forward, you go, he's offside. Yeah. You know, there was no hims and haws about it. He's offside. Now, the decision the referee then had to make, or VAR then had to make, did Cher touch it, or is that rule still in place? I don't know. But as soon as the ball gets played forward, you see he's offside. So what took so long to make the mind up, I do not know.
You're right.
You know, they put it up on the screen in front of us, right? And you're looking at it and you go, what are they actually looking at? There was a still, and you could see he was way offside, and they're looking, and you just think, is anybody afraid to make a decision here?
Yeah. I mean, it was the same with the penalty as well, which I do think is a penalty. I think it's actually quite a clear penalty in the end. But it was the same replay being shown, genuinely, not an exaggeration, 10, 12 times. And you think, whatever you've gleaned from the first 2 or 3 goes at this replay, that's it. You're not going to change your mind or see anything more from watching the same replay over and over again. It's the time it takes, not so much the fact that it's there, I don't think.
But if they're not sure straight away, Colin, right? Yeah. If they're not sure straight away, why don't they just say to the referee, go and have a look at the screen straight away?
Yeah,
and let him make his mind up.
Yeah.
And let him make his mind up. Because they're going, oh, is it? Oh, I don't know. Oh, and in the end they go, oh, you better go and look at this on the screen. Why don't they do that straight away?
Yeah.
You know, if they do that straight away, all of a sudden then the onus is put straight back on the referee. Now, the on the penalty, he gives a corner kick originally, and then is it a clear and obvious error that he's made? You know, this clear and obvious error, I don't get at all, because when is it a clear and obvious error? You know, but all they should do is say to the referee, go to the screen and have a look, and you make the decision. Don't be putting the onus on us.
Exactly, and in the end, it didn't count for anything, but it's still
no, it didn't make any difference. But there's going to be games where it could do.
It will, yeah, absolutely. From a Sunderland point of view as well, I'm going to say hello to Ian, and then I'm going to read a couple of messages out. Good evening, Ian.
Good evening, Colin.
I'm going to put a couple to you that are on similar lines. Kev says, in fact, one from Kevin, one from Kevin. So Kev says, Barnsley called it at 2:10 this afternoon. Why not play 2 up front from the kickoff? We were lined up to allow Plymouth to come on to us, and we ended the game with 5 at the back. And with last night's result, we should have been a much more ruthless, and Kevin's along the same lines. He says, why did Régis Lebris change to that horrible 4-1-4-1 formation? Today's on him, unfortunately. Ian.
And I think, Colin, that's the question. Don't get me wrong, Régis Lebris has been exceptional all season long, but we go into a game against a team bottom of the league who've just been humped 5-0 at home, and we play 4 at the back and a defensive midfield player. I really don't understand it. That, as I say, we can't knock Lebris, but you need to ask that. You need to ask the question, what was in his thoughts? Because as far as I'm concerned, as soon as Plymouth saw that lineup, they thought, well, they're not going to attack us.
We should have had 2 up top to start with, and then the rest of them should have been attacking from midfield. But if you're playing Sam Ed, who is only a defensive holding midfield player, it just gives them the thought process. We can get involved in this. Looking at the statistics, by the way, they had 2 shots on target. They scored 2 goals. That's a poor indictment, you know.
Yeah.
As I say, for me, the setup was wrong, and we need to ask Regis what was in his thought process. Listen, I know it's strategy, but we've got to go out and attack teams. It's not wrong to play 3 up front. I mean, if if we wouldn't have if we had Mundell back to balance out the Roberts situation on the left with the left and right, but we got to go and attack teams. This is a far too defensive setup for a game at home, and it's a team who are struggling.
Gary?
Yeah, you just look at the setup and you're just thinking, was we playing safe? You look at the way we set up, obviously. Samed was playing as the holding midfielder. We tried to push Dan Neil on and Joe Bellingham. I just thought Joe struggled to get in the game's first 45 minutes. He struggled to get into the game. Usually you see him, he gets on the ball, he dictates play. Today, because we've made them changes, I just thought we struggled in the first 45 minutes of the game. And as the game went on, we talk about the changes. And yes, we want to keep Luke O'Nien in the team. That's great. Yeah, keep him where he is as a centre-back. But usually what we're seeing now is that Sirkin comes off, Luke O'Nien goes to left-back. And then, for me, I just thought, if we're going to make changes, especially in the middle of the park, yes, take Samed off, but why don't we put Lafie in that role, like the 10 role?
Yes.
Because he's a very good player who's clever enough to get on the ball, and he's very good at picking passes out.
He can make things happen.
And we didn't do that.
And in the second, make things happen.
Yeah. And in the second half, he struggled to get in the game. In the first half, it was all coming down the left-hand side. He was getting the ball. He was causing a problem. In the second half, I've got to say, he struggled to get in the game. He weren't getting any service at all.
One more question for you, Ian, before I let you go, which is actually the second part of the same text from Kevin that I read a minute ago. Poses a question. Kevin says, do we need a new goalkeeper? Great shot stopper, Anthony Patterson, but doesn't command his box and his distribution is getting worse, says Kevin.
I get wrong about this commanding the box situation. I sit in the main stand. I should be able to hear Patterson's voice every game. I've never heard him once. He doesn't command his box. He is a fabulous shot stopper. He's a big lad. He should be controlling the box. He doesn't come off his line. No, I don't think we need a new goalkeeper. What I think we need is a goalkeeping coach who tells Patterson everything that comes in this box is yours, and wipe out Dan Neil if you've got to, wipe out a defender who gets in your way. But then it's your box. You come and get it. And as I say, I wouldn't change him for the world. As a shot stopper, he's fabulous. But I want him to become the man he should be. And I think with goalkeepers at the moment, it's like they're made of tissue paper. They can't be touched or they go crumbling down. I think Pat's a big enough lad to stand up for himself and to say anything that comes in here is going to be mine.
Gary?
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, especially for a back forward as well as a defender, if you know your keeper's coming for the ball, he's commanding his box, I tell you what, you soon move out of the way. But when you know that a keeper's like a little bit, shall we say, shaky, doesn't want to sort of come off his line, that's when it causes panic. And we've seen that. We've seen that numerous times in that 6-yard box. When the keeper doesn't command his box, it causes panic.
Thank you, Ian, for speaking to us tonight. Really appreciate it. A reminder of that number again, 0800 234 6565. I like it when we get questions that I know the answers to on text messages. Ron in Washington said, can you please clear up who scored Plymouth's first goal? The answer is it has gone down formally as an Anthony Patterson own goal. So Ron, that hopefully does clear that one up for you. It's almost 5:30.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
We're still waiting to find out who's going to be the next Bond. Could it be Phone Boy Tom from this show? Tom, if you were James Bond, what invention would you have fitted to your car?
I wouldn't mind an air fryer in the car, actually. You know, if you get hungry on the journey. Because let's face it, if you're James Bond, like, imagine you're going to kill some bad guys and then you're thinking, I'm a bit peckish.
The Bond car normally has, like, missiles or something on it.
Yeah, I've not got a very good aim.
What would your Bond movie be called? Fry Another Day? Or
Live and Let Fry.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
2 games for us to look back on today in the next 15 minutes or so. Newcastle United's victory over Southampton at St Mary's and Sunderland's draw at home to Plymouth. We'll have a chat to Johnny, he's a Newcastle fan, in just a moment. But John, I want to read you this message from John. It's quite long, but there's a few different points in it. John says, pleased we got 3 points, back up to 4th. But, Ando, our defence at times was really poor today. Burn for the first goal needs to do better. Schär switching off for Fernandez's goal that was eventually ruled out. Also a bit concerned that we're not really very clinical against a very poor Southampton side. We need to start being better if we're going to be a Champions League side. But on the positive, Isak and Tonali world class today, took both their goals really well. Mind you, wouldn't mind having that Matheus Fernandes in our team next season. Safe trip back, says John, and we echo that. I'm going to say that at the end as well. On the Newcastle defence and switching off at times.
Yeah, we got a little bit sloppy at times. You know, I think it was all a little bit too easy, to be quite honest, Colin. And you get a little bit lax, you get a little bit complacent, as was the case with the disallowed goal. You know, we got away with that one. The first goal, the goal that they got, I don't think the manager will be happy with at all. You know, he's penalty spot. There's not a centre back anywhere near him. It's a free header. Dubravka's got absolutely no chance. So you got to ask questions. Where's your 2 centre backs? I just think it was all too easy today, Colin. You know, I think we weren't put under really a great deal of pressure, to be quite honest. The boy Fernandez, yeah, good player. He's a good player in a very, very poor side. He's the one that stood out. He's the one that caught your eye. You know, we had other chances, but it was all about bouncing back and getting a reaction from last week. And I think he got that, the manager. You know, I think he will be delighted with that. And as I said to you earlier on, it was just so comfortable. It really was. You know, I think there was other gears there, but we just did what we had to do to win the game, and we did what we had to do. You know, it really was a stroll in the park. First half, as I said, Isak was he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It amazes me. You know, I said this to you as well. Bournemouth did a job on Isak last week. I think he didn't have his first shot on target till 85 minutes. Because they closed him down, got close to him, gave him no room to go, no room to run into. Southampton gave him all of St Mary's to run into. You know, he dropped off Bentnerek, got turned, faced him up, and once he faces you up, he's going to do you full stop. He ran in behind him. You know, the boy just never got close to him all day. First half he was outstanding. And he's a quality player. He was the difference between the sides in the first half. He was that good. You know, and I'm sure Bentnerek was absolutely delighted when they seen his number going up to take him off, to be quite honest.
Indeed. Just before I tell you what, I'm going to say hello to Johnny and then I'll apologise to him because we're not going to talk to him for another 2 minutes. But good evening, Johnny.
Evening, how you doing?
Well, hey, thank you. And there's a good reason, an acceptable reason we're not going to talk to you for 2 minutes, because we're going to hear a bit from Eddie Howe. So you can listen to this as well. But here is Newcastle United's head coach talking to Matthew Racebeck.
Yeah, I thought we were good. I thought first half especially, thought we were dynamic, played some really good football. The only disappointment is we didn't score more sort of in that first 60 minutes. Wasn't particularly happy with the last half an hour, but we did enough, and it was a massive response to last week's game.
Eddie, what did you think about the physical level that your players were at today following your analysis of what you saw against Bournemouth last week?
It was better. I still don't think it was our best physical effort. I thought it was good for 60 minutes, and then I thought we tired, but there's a bit of illness around this week. Bruno wasn't feeling his best, Alex wasn't feeling his best, and I think that can really have a sort of a negative effect. That's why I took them off, to try and get some fresh energy onto the pitch. So I think you take those things into account, it's a good effort from the rest of the players.
You must have really enjoyed the third goal with the move on the left-hand side, starting on the halfway and then finished off brilliantly, so confidently by Sandro Tonali.
Yeah, I did. I loved it. I mean, I loved all the goals we scored today, but I think Anthony's pass and the way Sandro had run from midfield and his athleticism and his pace, I thought he was outstanding today. I thought he ran that midfield for us. He was very good off the ball in particular. I thought his dual winning ability, his covering of the ground to help with the transitions was right at the top draw.
Miguel Almiron came on towards the end, almost scored, and then got a lot of love from the fans at full time. If it is a goodbye for him, then I suppose that was a nice moment for him to get all that appreciation at full time.
Yeah, we don't know with Miggy what's going to happen, but I thought the crowd, again, showing the Newcastle crowd and supporters have a wonderful way of understanding what certain players need in certain moments, and I think that was a lovely moment for Miggy because he's given so much, and I say it all the time, he's been the ultimate professional. It's been an absolute pleasure to coach and work with, and we don't know whether he will leave, but if he does, what a memory for him to take forward for the rest of his life.
Indeed, he's been quite the servant to Newcastle United, has Miguel Almiron. But Johnny, on today's game, we've had a couple of texts saying we needed to be a lot more clinical. Eddie Howe there saying wasn't the greatest physical performance, but a win's a win when all that mattered was bouncing back from the Bournemouth defeat, I suppose.
Yeah, if you could have handpicked somebody to face after the Bournemouth game last week, it was Southampton. Let's be honest, I think the bottom, the 6 points for a reason. I think even when they scored, you still felt there was signs that Newcastle could get control back into the game. You know, they looked pretty good before even Southampton scored. It was just a very poor goal to give away a free header, and you'd be asking who's marking him or who's getting close to him. But after that, Isak was the difference. As I said, Ando there, just saying, he was that difference. Just even the movement to get the penalty and then the goal was a fantastic ball from Jacob Murphy, and you're almost going back to the halfway line. As soon as that ball's played through to Isak, you go, right, that's 2-1, back to the halfway line, can we get another one? It was very, very comfortable. Look, if it was somebody that was probably mid-table, like a Brentford or a Fulham, maybe it's a different kettle of fish, maybe it's a different story, but in terms of who you're up against and the level of opposition you're up against, I don't think Eddie Howe can ask for too much more, let's be really honest.
Yeah, I agree. Just listening to Eddie Howe there, I bet you Southampton are absolutely delighted that Isak was under the weather.
You could tell, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could tell he was under the weather, especially in that first half. Dear, oh dear. But yeah, look, I said earlier, Johnny, even when we went one down after 10 minutes, you still thought, there's plenty of time left in this game. And when we equalised, there was only going to be one winner. Southampton are where they are for a reason, and the reason is they're not very good. They've only got 6 points. God knows how many points they'll end up with, but it's going to be a long 3 months for them. And if you want to be if you want to be harsh about it, we should be coming here and winning. We should be coming here and winning comfortably, and we did. We came here, we won here, and we won comfortably. We did what we had to do. I still thought there was another level for us to go, but we did what we had to do, and it was a comfortable win. To come away from home and score 3 goals, you couldn't have asked much more than that. There was other chances, unfortunately we didn't take, but it was it was a really comfortable win, as I said earlier, Colin. We after the third goal went in, that was it. It was game, set and match. It was then a question of how many we won by. Unfortunately, we didn't score anymore, but we had other opportunities. But it's a good way to bounce back from last week, that's for sure.
Indeed. Just before I let you go, Johnny, I want to read you one more message. It's from Lee in Durham, who says, it puzzles me why, when playing the bottom team and 2 goals up, Eddie Howe takes off Isak but brings on Willock. Why not bring on Willa Sula? How's he meant to get used to playing when he's not being allowed to get used to playing?
I think it's a good point. I think how Eddie Howe made it is that maybe the game's not won. I think maybe being to the extreme point, maybe the game's not won yet. 2 goals, you saw Southampton score probably 5 minutes from the end. Is Asula the right man to have in that particular game? Willock's a lot more experienced. Yes, Willock's not a striker. You can put an argument for and against it. Let's be really honest, but I think I'd probably be on the side of putting Asula on. I think you could have put Asula on after the 3rd goal went in, and I think he'd be absolutely fine. Let's be really honest. He's fresh. He's quick. He's got a lot of energy. Yes, he's not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination. He's probably got another 18 months before we'll probably see anywhere near that. At the minute, he's probably a mid-table championship striker at this moment in time, but he's playing with a group of very, very good Premier League players. So let's just see what happens with that. But I think everybody expects Asula to start against Birmingham in the cup 2 weeks today. So I'm not too concerned. But you want people to fight for places, and that's what you'll do. You'll fight to try and get into the squad, or try to get appearances off the bench, because Costa Wilson's not too far away from coming back. I think he's due back in a couple of weeks. But yeah, look, I wouldn't read too much into it at this moment in time. It's a case of today was getting the 3 points. I've got the 3 points, another week's rest. Difficult game against Fulham next week, and then obviously Arsenal to follow. So let's just make sure that we're in a position where in 10 days' time we've got another 3 points on the board and through another Carabao Cup final.
Sounds like a plan. Johnny, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this evening. And probably not time to squeeze you in if you give us a call tonight. What are you at in the background?
I don't think Asula will play at Birmingham.
Okay. Well, we will come on to that nearer the time.
I understand, yet again he takes Isak off, and you're thinking, well, go on, put this young boy on, because Southampton aren't going to cause you too many problems. And they're wide open at the back, and the boy needs a little bit of confidence and a little bit of belief, and the way that they're playing, he'll get chances. Now, he doesn't put him on yet again. What does that say? He doesn't fancy him at this moment in time, Colin. Yeah. That's the truth of the matter. He doesn't think the boy is ready for Premier League football at this moment in time. He keeps putting other people on in front of him when he keeps taking somebody off who plays in his position.
Let's squeeze in Ian, who's a Sunderland supporter. Good evening, Ian.
Hello, everybody. All right?
Yeah.
Hello, Ian.
A fair bit of frustration, I imagine, on your part at the end of that.
Yeah, massive frustration. Basically, I don't know what I watched in that second half. The truth be told, it was just well, first and foremost, the team selection was wrong from Reggie today. I don't think you should have dropped Rig on my end. I know Rig's only 17, but he's one of our best players, and we've conceded 2 against Plymouth, who got thumped 5-0 midweek. We should have, on paper, we should have walked away with the game today. Result 3 points in the back pocket, but we haven't. We've only got 1, and I think the team selection has a lot to do with that. And yes, as well, I am a critic of Anthony Patterson, because his distribution is getting terrible. He holds onto the ball too long when really we should be breaking out. The players are all running forward, they're getting going, but he hangs onto the ball, and that frustrates the life out of me. And you just want to roll it out to the player who's already running and he wants it, but he just hangs onto it, and then he makes a terrible kick, and it goes out over the far side.
Yeah. Gary,
I think we need to give Simon Moore a few games, and Pat Owen needs to be dropped to the bench to do some extra work on the training pitch, because something's not right with him in training to get over Moore. Truth be told, because when Pat Owen got injured in the early part of the season, Moore had a great few games, but I think he unfairly lost his place in the team.
I think the most important thing we've got to do is not to panic. Yes, it's a bad result today, 2 points dropped. But you've got to say, you look back on Tuesday against Derby County, we weren't saying that about Patterson. I thought in that game, he came out, when he couldn't catch, he punched. So we can't start panicking because the result didn't go our way. You look at the selection today, and it's like anything else. If you get a result, you always say the way we set up today was great. When you don't get a result, then you start questioning the reasons why. You know, why did we make the changes? Why did we bring in certain players? Why didn't Chris Riggs start today? You know, why didn't Mayenda play? Why didn't we play two up front? So there's lots of questions which are going to be asked when you don't get results.
Yeah, one more thing for you, Ian. Sorry, because we're running out of time, so I'm going to ask you one more question before we move on. Is it a good thing or a bad thing now that Sunderland don't have a game until a week on Monday? A couple of extra days to prepare, or a couple of extra days to dwell on the bad things? I don't know whether it's a good thing or not.
I think it is in a way, because if you play 3 games in a week like we've just done, and obviously players will start to get into a little bit of a burnout phase, because I've noticed that we've started to look a little bit leggy and everything in games after 70 odd minutes. So it does freshen it up after if you don't have a game for a week. So, but then again, that's for the manager to take it onto the training field for the week ahead and say, right, let's go again, let's dust ourselves down, and immediately bring your best players back to the starting lineup. Because obviously, for whatever reason, he made the decision to drop them, but I think it was the wrong one, personally.
Thank you, and we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your call, Ian. A reminder of that number, 0800 234 6565, will be the same number when Total Sport is back at 6 o'clock on Monday. Gary Bennett, safe journey home, but it's not a particularly long journey, at least. Although hopefully it takes you less time than it did yesterday. And the same very much to you, John Anderson.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Safe journey, Johnny boy.
Safe journey.
Thanks, Gary. See you soon.
Relatively short journey as well is what we are hoping for. And same goes, of course, to all Newcastle United fans making their way back from Southampton, and to all Plymouth fans making their way back home from Sunderland this afternoon. Newcastle United won by 3-1 at Southampton. Sunderland drew 2-2 at home to Plymouth. Like I say, Total Sport will go through all of that at 6 o'clock on Monday, but we're going to talk local football next.
On BBC iPlayer.
Who's the traitor?
I am 100% faithful.
Everyone's just selfish. Everyone's just out for themselves.
What game do you think we're playing?
The new series of The Traitors.
Am I bad?
Watch all episodes on BBC iPlayer. Local football.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
You are listening to the local football roundup on BBC Radio Newcastle, the best place to get reaction to the day's non-league games in the North East. Drop us a message, let us know how your team got on today. 08000 321 333 is the WhatsApp number, 81333 is the text number. Start all of your messages with the letters BBC. Remember not to message us though if you're catching up on BBC Sounds later, because we won't read it, but you may still be charged. We will hear from some of those involved in today's games in just a moment, but first of all, here with all of today's results is Dominic James.
Thank you very much, Colin. We begin in the Vanarama National League. Gateshead 1, Oldham 1. The Vanarama National League North. Scunthorpe 3, South Shields 2. The pitching in Northern Premier League Premier Division. Blythe Spartans 2, Mickleover 1. Hyde United 1, Morpeth Town 1. Lancaster City 2, Hebburn Town 2. The pitching in Northern Premier League East Division. Belper Town 2, Dunstan 5, Concert 1, Carlton Town 1, Heaton Stannington 1, Cleethorpes Town 2, Stocksbridge Park Steels 0, Ashington 1. To the EBAC Northern League Division 1, the game between Newcastle, Benfield and West Auckland Town was postponed last night. Burtley Town 0, Borough Rangers 2, Carlisle City 2, North Shields 1, Crook Town 0, Redcar Athletic 0, Gisborne Town 0, Newcastle Blue Star 1, Kendall Town 1, Blythe Town 1, Marske United 2, Easington Colliery 2, Seaham Red Star 0, Whitley Bay 5 and Wickham 2, Shildon 4. To the EBAC Northern League Division 2 now. Alnwick Town 3, Bellingham Town 1, Chester Street Town 1, Bedlington Terriers 4, Darlington Town 0, Jarrow 4. The game between Eschwinning and Grangetown Boys Club was postponed. Horden 2, Wrighton Croker Albion 3, Prudhoe Seniors 1, Bolden 3, Sunderland West End 3, FC Hartlepool 2, Thornaby 2, Chesley Street United 1, Yarmouth Eagles Cliff 2, Washington 0, and in the Scottish Lowland League, Linlithgow Rose 3, Berwick Rangers 0. Back to you, Colin.
Dom, thank you very much indeed. Let's go straight to our featured game of the day then at the International Stadium. 4th against 5th in the National League. Gateshead against Oldham, and Paul Dixon, there was nothing to separate them in the end.
No, it wasn't, Colin. Ones each. And on the second half performance, Gateshead thoroughly deserved a point. I wouldn't say they deserved all 3 points, but showed a lot of class and spirit in the second half. I've got Carl Magnier, the Gateshead manager, with me. Carl, happy with the point?
Oh, given the current circumstances, delighted with a point, and that was achieved by pure grit, determination and character from the players. The situation we're in, obviously missing a lot of quality in the side. We now have to turn our attention to managing games appropriately and just trying to squeeze every ounce of effort and commitment from the players, and they give us that today.
Brilliant. Just looking at the stats here before the game, 9 players are injured and 4 of your squad have left Gateshead. It's nearly a new team, isn't it?
As a young manager in his first job, it's not what you want, is it? It is an unprecedented situation that we're in, but like I said, we have to adapt and find a way, not be negative about it or allow it to cloud you too much, even though it is an obvious disadvantage. But the mantra of this club is find a way, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Now, you're still 4th in the league, and you're telling me you've got a fortnight before you play a game. How are we going to fill that fortnight with plenty looking for players and trying to get the new lads back fit if you can?
Well, we don't have to look for players. We've got the targets there. We've agreed personally with them. It's just a case of waiting on the clubs to agree the terms. That's been the case for a little while now. So we're hoping in this 2-week period that can be sorted. And then, of course, if we do get those players in, we use the training to get as much information and detail into those additions as possible.
And just a quick one, last one on Nathan Booty, who I thought played really well in the second half. What's the situation on him so far?
Well, it's Regan Booty. He won't be happy about that, Dicker. But no, he's been good as gold around the group. Whether you agree or disagree with Regan's decision making, he's a footballer at the end of the day, and he's trying to get the most out of his short career, which you've got to respect that. But he hasn't allowed his personal circumstances to infect the group or be toxic in any way. And we had a sit down during the week where he expressed his desire to go out and give everything for his teammates, and he did that.
Thank you very much, Carl. Yeah, sorry about the Regan there. He was brilliant the second half, and I really enjoyed his play. I've got too much of him on in my mind. But thank you, Carl. Colin, back to you.
Thank you very much. If his brother Nathan's a decent player, we might end up seeing him at the International Stadium as well. Who knows? Thank you very much to Carl Magny, as always appreciated. From Gateshead to Blythe Spartans, because we've been with good reason, quite negative about Blythe Spartans for a good chunk of the season on Saturday afternoons. But this afternoon, they have beaten Mickleover, and it's a first win in the league since September. Delighted to say that their manager, Michael Connor, joins us on the line. Good evening, Michael.
Hey, are you okay?
Yes, and how are you? Because I guess you don't go mad with celebrations after winning a game because of the context, but it's still a very pleasing win nonetheless.
Yeah, it's took what 2-3 months to get that first win. A lot of chopping and changing, a lot of things to kind of take on board. Not maybe carrying a little bit of luck in certain games, and other games just not turning up. If I'm brutally honest, the lads were absolutely brilliant today. We tried something different, tried to be positive with our formation, and it's worked wonders. And great credit goes to the players, because we asked them to up the work rate, we asked them to show that desire that we need, and what they need to do to play for this great club, and they did it today. I'm super proud.
The slight frustration perhaps that it hasn't actually got you any closer to safety, because Prescott Cable's winning today as well means that the gap is still 13 points. I think I know the answer to this, but I'll let you give a longer answer than just yes or no. Can you make that gap up?
Yeah, cue the Great Escape music, isn't it? That's what it is. It is. It's interesting to see what happens with these lads now and their mentality when they finally won a game. I think, are we going back to September or something since the last time they actually won a game? And I think it's over a year, I think somebody told us, since we've actually won a home game. So you kind of look at it, and I knew it was going to be hard when I came through the door. I definitely believe, as a manager, I've improved immensely. It's definitely a much higher level in play compared to the Northern League, which I've had to adapt to, and I truly believe that if these lads show the same work rate, the same desires that they've shown today, we are capable of going on a little bit of a run, and let's see where we are by the end of February.
That's all. That's all you can do. Like I said, I knew the answer you were going to give in some respects, so I wanted you to be able to explain it as well. And just finally, this is a win against a team that's in that relegation battle with you. Same next weekend when it's Baseford. It feels like a big opportunity. Yeah, of course it does. You look at the games in the next few weeks, and it doesn't matter if we're playing Macclesfield top of the league. You've got to be positive. You've got to be positive in the things that you do. And to be fair, it has been. Pep Guardiola spoke about sleepless nights and everything, and that's what I've had. Waking up at 2:00 in the morning, you start doubting yourself. I'm actually good enough to be at this level. That's me being honest. And you want to really give it a go. And I'm just, I can go on Facebook now for the first time in 13 weeks. Well, enjoy your evening, Michael. You thoroughly deserve it. Congratulations. Nobody's getting carried away, but a win is a win, and it's a first one for a long time. So, Michael Connor, thank you very much indeed. Michael Connor, the Blythe Spartans manager there after their terrific 2-1 win at home to Mickleover. From that to another brilliant victory. Dunstan 5-2 away from home at then league leaders. They were at the start of the day at Belper Town. Delighted to say John McDonald, the Dunstan manager, joins us as well. The scoreline suggests, John, that's the best result. Was it the best performance of the season too?
Yeah, I think so. The first 20 minutes, actually, it took us a little while to get going there. We're probably the better team, but once we got the first goal, I thought we were the dominant team, and good value for the 3 points, and obviously going to the league leaders and scoring 5 goals. We're delighted with that. And it's everything's just squeezed at the top of the table, and we were talking about you. We've always been talking about you as playoff contenders, and now you find yourself 5 points off the top with a game in hand as well. You want it to be as tight as possible. You suddenly want all those teams to be beating each other around the top. Yeah, we do. If you look at the league table, it is compact at both the top and the bottom, but we've got huge confidence in the squad that we've assembled. We don't fear anybody, and I think we've lost one game in 13 and we've won the last 5, so there's no reason why we can't continue on this run, and we're right in the mix now to win the league. And look, goal scorers always get the credit, but we can't ignore the fact that that's 2 hat-tricks in successive weekends as well. One for Sado today, but J.G. O'Donnell's now got 5 in 2. Yeah, I mean, Sado, I'm really pleased for him today because he works so tirelessly for his team, works so hard, and not just his goals today, his performance was magnificent. And JJ's come into the club and he's just been like a breath of fresh air. He's brought real composure and quality to the group. So both those lads, like everybody else in the squad today, have been brilliant for us. Congratulations again. I don't know where you are in terms of journey home, but safe rest of journey home. Really appreciate your time as always, John. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. All the best. Thank you. Bye. Cheers. John McDonald there after Dunstan's fantastic 5-2 win away at Belper. We've still got Paul Dixon with us at Gateshead, and I know obviously you don't know any more, Paul, than just the score and listening to John there, but any team that goes to the league leaders, scores 5 goals and gets themselves right back in this is a title race that Dunstan are in now. This could be a really big afternoon for them.
Well, it could, Colin, you're right. I mean, I was at the playoffs last year, and they were broken people on the night, and John's determined to get them up there. I think he's got a better squad this year for the challenge, but to go down there today and win in the manner of that is terrific. I think J.J. O'Donnell, who's joined Dunstan, has showed a lot of class since he's been there. Plus, he's scored a lot of goals as well to help them win the games that they're winning. But now they've got a big chance, and I think they'll be moving up the league this year, Colin. I really do. Indeed. Just a very quick one on the Northerly Division 1 as well, because the leaders Redcar Athletic beaten today. Our top team now is Newcastle Blue Star. Big win for them away at Gisborough, and they're only 5 points off top with a game in hand. They might just be clinging on in this title race, Blue Star. Oh, they've got a chance. And I mean, I bumped into Mark Nash last week when I was watching North Shields in the referee of Oz. and he's very excited about going for the playoffs. He's a top lad. He's got a decent team there together. They've just got to go on a run, and they could be moving up as well. It's exciting stuff, Colin. Really
It is indeed up a couple of places today by beating Guisborough and by Blythetown dropping points as well away at Kendalltown. Paul Dixon, thank you very much indeed, and thank you to everybody. Dominic James for reading the scorelines out as well. We will be back with our local football roundup next Saturday afternoon at 5:45. The rest of this afternoon has been full of drama. Newcastle United came from behind but won by 3-1 at bottom of the table Southampton. Alexander Isak with another couple, so they are up to 4th in the table as it sort of stands. Chelsea against Manchester United playing each other just now. If Chelsea take a point out of that one, then they will go back above Newcastle again. Sunderland conceded though in the final minute to draw 2-2 at home to Plymouth and not take advantage of Sheffield United losing last night and Burnley and Leeds playing each other tomorrow. Lots to go through when Total Sport returns with John Anderson and with Marco Gabbiadini and with Simon Pride. That's at 6 o'clock on Monday.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.